The alien pet Primus lay motionless on the cold metal floor, its body wasted to skin and bones, barely clinging to life. The Zanari creature had been cruelly discarded by the other races aboard Deep Space Station Zeta, left to die a slow, agonizing death. Jesse Bell, the station's sole human xenobiologist, knelt beside Primus. He gently lifted the frail creature, feeling its labored breathing and the heat of fever emanating from its body. The sight sickened him. How could the other races be so callous, so quick to dismiss a life as worthless? He carried Primus to the human medical bay, ignoring the disapproving stares and muttered insults from passing aliens. They saw his efforts as a foolish waste of resources. But to Jesse, this was about more than just saving one alien pet. It was about the value of compassion, the belief that every life deserved a chance. As he worked tirelessly to stabilize Primus, Jesse delved into the Zanari's tragic history. Once a thriving civilization, they had been wiped out by a mysterious plague, leaving only scattered survivors and remnants of their culture. Primus, he discovered, was the last known Zanari pet in existence. The weight of this realization settled heavily on Jesse's shoulders. He refused to let this innocent creature die, to let the last living symbol of the Zanari fade away. But as Primus's condition slowly improved under Jesse's dedicated care, tensions on the station escalated. The governing council, a cold and calculating assembly of various alien races, saw Jesse's efforts as a direct affront to their authority. They threatened to shut down his research, to euthanize Primus, and put an end to this pointless endeavor. The other races viewed Jesse and his fellow humans with growing animosity, seeing their compassion as a weakness. But the humans stood united, rallying around Jesse and Primus. They recognized that their actions represented something greater, the best of what humanity had to offer. As the rift between the human faction and the other alien races widened, Jesse made a startling discovery. Hidden within Primus's biology were secrets that could potentially unlock the cure to the Zanari plague. The stakes had now risen beyond the fate of one alien pet. The future of an entire species, and the balance of power on the station, hung in the balance. As hostilities reached a boiling point, Jesse and his allies found themselves racing against time. They had to unravel the mysteries of Primus's biology and the Zanari's demise, all while navigating a treacherous political landscape where their every move was met with opposition. The humans were determined to succeed, to prove that compassion and the value of life were not weaknesses but strengths. They would save Primus and, in doing so, pave the way for a new era of understanding between the disparate races of Deep Space Station Zeta. But the path ahead was fraught with peril, and the Alien Council would stop at nothing to maintain their power. In the depths of space, a battle was about to unfold, a battle for the soul of the station and the future of interspecies relations. And at the heart of it all was one human's unwavering commitment to an alien creature the rest of the universe had abandoned. Jesse hunched over the microscope, his eyes straining as he studied the latest samples from Primus. The alien pet's biological makeup was unlike anything he had ever seen, a complex tapestry of interwoven systems that seemed to defy conventional understanding. But there, hidden within the intricate patterns, he saw it, a glimmer of hope, a potential key to unlocking the cure for the Zanari plague. His heart raced as he double-checked his findings, hardly daring to believe what he was seeing. He called out to Dr. Rahimi, his voice trembling with excitement. "Malik, come take a look at this. I think I've found something." Dr. Rahimi leaned over the microscope, his brow furrowed in concentration. As he studied the sample, his eyes widened in amazement. "Jesse, this is incredible. The potential implications of this discovery are staggering. We need to investigate this further." Together, they pored over the data, comparing notes and running simulations. The more they delved into Primus's biology, the clearer it became that they were on the verge of a breakthrough. But their elation was short-lived as the door to the medical bay burst open, revealing the menacing figure of Krax, flanked by two armed Zoraxian guards. "Dr. Bell, Dr. Rahimi, You are hereby ordered to cease all research related to the Zanari creature and surrender it to the council immediately, Krax demanded, his voice dripping with disdain. Jesse stepped forward, his lips pursed in defiance. We can't do that, Krax. What we're doing here could change everything. It could save lives. Krax sneered, his eyes narrowing. Your misguided compassion is a threat to the order of this station. You have no idea of the consequences your actions could unleash. Dr. Rahimi intervened, his tone diplomatic yet firm. Representative Krax, please let us explain our findings. This is bigger than any one race or faction. It could benefit everyone on the station. But Krax was unmoved. Enough. You have 1 hour to comply with the council's demands. Failure to do so will result in severe consequences. With that, he turned on his heel and marched out, leaving Jesse and Dr. Rahimi in a stunned silence. They knew they couldn't give up, not when they were so close. They had to find a way to continue their research, to keep Primus safe. As they scrambled to save their data and samples, they heard a commotion from outside the medical bay. Krax and his guards were ransacking the lab, smashing equipment and destroying precious specimens. Jesse's heart sank as he realized the extent of the sabotage. Months of painstaking work, gone in an instant. But amidst the chaos, a quiet dedication took hold. He turned to Dr. Rahimi, his eyes blazing with tenacity. We can't let them win, Malik. We have to find another way. Dr. Rahimi nodded, his expression grim. You're right. We need allies. Someone who can help us continue our work without the council's interference. Jesse's mind raced, searching for a solution. Then it hit him. The Luminos. They're known for their advanced medical knowledge. If we can reach out to them, maybe they can help us. It was a risky gambit, but they had no choice. With time running out and the council closing in, Jesse and Dr. Rahimi made contact with Zafira, an enigmatic Luminos scientist with a reputation for pushing boundaries. To their relief, Zafira was intrigued by their findings and agreed to help, but she warned them of the delicate balance of power on the station. You must be cautious. The Luminos have a fragile peace with the other races. If our involvement is discovered, it could have grave consequences. Under Zafira's guidance, Jesse and Dr. Rahimi made rapid progress. Primus's biology was giving up its secrets, revealing not only the potential for a Zanari plague cure, but also revolutionary treatments that could benefit all races on the station. As word of their breakthroughs spread through the human faction, support for Jesse's cause grew. More and more people saw it as a chance to prove humanity's worth, to forge stronger bonds with other races. But with each victory, the Alien Council's opposition intensified. Krax resorted to increasingly desperate measures, threatening and intimidating anyone who stood in his way. Jesse and his allies knew they were running out of time. They had to get Primus to safety, to a place where they could continue their research without fear of interference. In a daring midnight operation, they smuggled Primus onto the Luminos science vessel, a sleek ship jam-packed with advanced technology. It was a temporary sanctuary, but it bought them the time they needed to press on. As the vessel undocked from Deep Space Station Zeta, Jesse knew that the real battle was just beginning. They had defied the Council, risked everything for the chance to save a species and change the course of history. But the forces arrayed against them were formidable, and the stakes were higher than ever. With Primus safe aboard the Luminos ship, Jesse and his team raced to unlock the final pieces of the puzzle. The alien pet's biology held the key to a new era of medical science, a future where the lines between species blurred and cooperation replaced conflict. But on Deep Space Station Zeta, tensions were reaching a boiling point. Krax and the Alien Council were preparing to strike back, to crush the human rebellion and reassert their dominance. The stage was set for a final showdown, a battle that would determine not only the fate of Primus and the Zanari, but the future of the station itself. As Jesse looked out at the stars beyond the ship's viewport, he knew that the path ahead was uncertain. The web of alliances and animosities that held the station together was fraying, and he would need all his skill and tenacity to navigate the challenges to come. But he also knew that he was not alone. He had Dr. Rahimi, Zafira, and a growing army of supporters, all united by a common cause. Together, they would fight for Primus, for the Zanari, and for the ideals that made them human. The Luminos ship sailed on through the darkness of space, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of a better future. And on Deep Space Station Zeta, the winds of change were blowing, heralding a new era of discovery and possibility, even as the forces of the old order plotted to tear it all down. The Luminos ship hummed with activity as Jesse, Dr. Rahimi, and Zafira worked tirelessly in the medical bay. Primus lay on the examination table, connected to an array of advanced diagnostic equipment. "Look at this," Jesse said, pointing to a holographic display. "These antibodies are unlike anything I've ever seen." Dr. Rahimi leaned in, his eyes widening. "They're not just fighting the Zanari plague. They're adapting, enhancing the entire immune system." Zafira nodded, her luminescent skin pulsing with excitement. "If we can synthesize this, it could revolutionize medicine for all species." As they delved deeper into their research, an urgent message came through the ship's comm system. "Dr. Bell, we've lost all communication with Deep Space Station Zeta," a human technician reported. "They've cut us off completely." Jesse's mind focused. "They're trying to starve us out, but we can't stop now, not when we're so close." Days passed as they worked around the clock, pushing the limits of the Luminos ship's advanced facilities. Word of their progress spread through the human faction, igniting a spark of hope. But their success didn't go unnoticed. On the station, Krax paced in his quarters, his scales overflowing with rage. He activated a secure channel. "Initiate Operation Endgame. I want that ship taken and the humans eliminated. Understood?" A gruff voice responded, "Yes, sir. We're moving into position now." Back on the Luminos ship, alarms blared. Jesse rushed to the bridge where Zafira was frantically working the controls. Multiple ships approaching. They're charging weapons. The first volley rocked the ship. Jesse grabbed onto a console to steady himself. "Return fire. We can't let them board us." The space around the Luminos ship erupted into chaos. Energy beams crisscrossed the void as the human scientists and their Luminos allies fought desperately against the encroaching alien forces. In the medical bay, Dr. Rahimi shouted over the din of battle. "Jesse, you need to see this." Jesse raced back, dodging sparks from damaged systems. "What is it?" Dr. Rahimi pointed to a complex genetic sequence displayed on the screen. "It's not just antibodies. Primus's DNA contains encoded information. It's a map, Jesse, a map to something called the Genesis Vault." Jesse's mind reeled. "The Genesis Vault? What is that?" "According to these fragments of Zanari text," Dr. Rahimi explained, "it's a repository of genetic information for every species in the galaxy, the power to shape evolution itself." The ship shuddered from another hit. Warning klaxons blared as the alien boarding parties began cutting through the hull. Jesse looked from the data to Primus, then back to Dr. Rahimi. "We have to make a choice," Jesse said, his voice tight. "Do we focus on synthesizing the cure or do we pursue this Genesis Vault?" Dr. Rahimi's face was grim. "Whatever we decide, we better do it fast. We're running out of time." The sounds of battle grew closer. Jesse could hear the shouts and weapons fire just outside the medical bay. He looked down at Primus, the small creature that had started it all, and knew that his next decision would change the course of history. Jesse's fingers flew across the holographic interface, his eyes darting between multiple data streams. The Genesis Vault's secrets unfurled before him, a tapestry of genetic information so vast it made his head spin. "Zafira, look at this," he called out, his voice tight with excitement and trepidation. "The vault doesn't just contain genetic blueprints. It's a tool for rewriting life itself." The Luminos scientist glided over, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with curiosity. "By the stars," she breathed, taking in the intricate web of data. "The implications of this—" Their moment of awe was shattered by the sudden blare of alarms. Red warning lights bathed the lab in an eerie glow. "We've got company," shouted one of the human technicians. Multiple bogeys incoming. Jesse's calm crackled to life. Jesse, it's Rahimi. Krax's forces have breached our defenses. We're evacuating to the asteroid outpost. Get your team ready for transfer. Copy that, Jesse responded, his mind racing. Zafira, start the data dump. We can't risk losing any of this. As Zafira and her team worked to secure their findings, Jesse sprinted to the adjacent lab where Dr. Rahimi was overseeing Primus's care. The small alien creature chirped anxiously, sensing the tension in the air. How's the cure coming? Jesse asked, helping Rahimi disconnect Primus from the medical equipment. Rahimi shook his head. We're close, but not there yet. Another week, maybe 2, and we might have had it. A violent tremor shook the ship. We don't have 2 weeks, Jesse muttered. They raced to the hangar bay, Primus secured in a stasis pod. As they boarded the shuttle, Jesse caught sight of Krax's forces swarming into the Lumino ship. His heart made at the sight of their research being destroyed. The shuttle rocketed away from the besieged ship, making a beeline for the asteroid outpost. Inside, Jesse and Zafira huddled over a secure terminal, poring over the Genesis Vault data. Jesse, Zafira said, her voice hushed with awe. This wasn't created by the Zanari. Look at the age of these files, the complexity of the encoding. Jesse's eyes widened as he took in the information. The progenitors, he whispered. An ancient race, creators of the vault. But why entrust it to the Zanari? Their discussion was cut short as they docked with the asteroid outpost. Security teams rushed to escort them to the fortified core. As they settled into the new lab, a heated debate broke out among the human factions. Some argued for destroying the vault data, fearing its misuse. Others saw it as humanity's ticket to galactic dominance. Jesse stood amidst the arguing factions, his voice rising above the din. Don't you see? The Zanari chose us as inheritors because they saw our potential for compassion, for preserving life. We can't betray that trust. His words seemed to calm the room, but the reprieve was short-lived. Alarms blared once again as Krax's forces began their assault on the outpost. In the chaos, Jesse locked eyes with Zafira. A silent understanding passed between them. They had one chance to preserve the vault's knowledge. They rushed to Primus's containment unit. With trembling hands, Jesse initiated the data transfer, praying that the alien pet's unique biology could handle the influx of information. As the outpost shuddered under the relentless attack, Jesse watched the progress bar creep towards completion. He knew that in Primus, they now held not just the key to curing the Zanari plague, but the future of all life in the galaxy. The core's blast doors groaned under the assault of Krax's forces. Jesse gripped his makeshift weapon, standing shoulder to shoulder with his team. They were humanity's last line of defense, guardians of a knowledge that could reshape the universe. As the doors began to buckle, Jesse steeled himself for the fight of his life. The outpost shook violently as another barrage of energy weapons slammed into the outer defenses. Jesse steadied himself against a control panel, his eyes scanning the tactical display. Red warning indicators flashed across the screen, signaling multiple breaches in the perimeter. "We're out of time!" Jesse shouted over the din of alarms and explosions. He turned to Zafira, her bioluminescent skin pulsing with anxiety. "Get Primus. We're moving to Plan B." Zafira nodded, quickly disconnecting Primus from the medical apparatus. The small alien chirped nervously as she scooped him into a portable stasis unit. Jesse punched in a code on a nearby panel, revealing a hidden doorway. "This way," he urged, ushering Zafira and Primus into the dark passage. As the door sealed behind them, Jesse activated his wrist-mounted light. The beam illuminated a narrow tunnel stretching into darkness. "The shuttle's about 1/2 kilometer from here. We need to move fast." They pushed forward through the cramped space, the sounds of battle growing more distant with each step. Jesse's mind raced, thinking of the comrades they were leaving behind. Back in the central lab, Dr. Rahimi worked feverishly at his station. "We need to buy them more time," he shouted to the remaining scientists. "Initiate emergency lockdown protocols." The lab doors slammed shut as Rahimi transferred the last of their research data to a secure drive. He looked at the frightened faces around him, knowing what had to be done. "Everyone to the secondary escape pods," Rahimi ordered. "I'll hold them off as long as I can." As the civilians evacuated, Rahimi stood alone in the lab. He took a deep breath, steeling himself for what was to come. In the tunnels, Jesse and Zafira pressed on. The passage twisted and turned, forcing them to navigate by touch as much as sight. Suddenly, Jesse held up a hand, signaling for silence. The faint echo of footsteps reached their ears. "Cracks," Jesse whispered, recognizing the distinctive gait of the alien enforcer. Before they could retreat, energy blasts tore through the tunnel wall. Jesse pushed Zafira and Primus behind him, returning fire with his own weapon. The air filled with acrid smoke and the smell of scorched metal. Jesse's shots found their mark, downing 2 of Krax's men, but the alien commander pressed forward, his massive frame filling the narrow passage. "Hand over the creature," Krax snarled, his reptilian eyes gleaming in the dim light. "Never," Jesse spat back, unleashing another volley. Zafira suddenly surged forward, her body glowing intensely. She threw herself at Krax, buying Jesse precious seconds. But the alien's strength was too much. With a savage blow, he sent Zafira crumpling to the ground. Jesse scooped up Primus and ran, his heart pounding. He could hear Zafira's labored breathing behind him. "Go!" she gasped. "Save Primus! Save us all!" Tears stinging his eyes, Jesse pushed on. He emerged into a small hangar, the Lumino shuttle waiting. But as he approached, his heart sank. The ship's hull was pockmarked with damage, its systems dark. With Krax's heavy footsteps echoing behind him, Jesse made a desperate choice. He connected Primus to the shuttle's main computer, praying the Genesis Vault data could somehow power the failing systems. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing happened. Then, with a surge of energy, the shuttle roared to life. Jesse jumped into the pilot's seat, his hands flying over the controls. As the hangar doors opened, Jesse caught a final glimpse of the outpost. Explosions rocked the structure, flames engulfing the place he'd called home. With a silent prayer for his fallen friends, he launched the shuttle into the void of space. But victory was short-lived. Warning lights flashed across the shuttle's console. Jesse's stomach dropped as he realized the truth. The damage was too severe. They were losing power, drifting off course into uncharted space. Jesse looked down at Primus, the small creature that now carried the hopes of entire civilizations. He reached out, gently stroking the alien's fur. "Looks like it's just you and me now, little guy," Jesse said softly. "But I promise you, we're not done fighting yet." The shuttle drifted deeper into the unknown, carrying its precious cargo of knowledge and hope into the vast, star-filled expanse.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.